Good morning. Thank you all for joining us here at the Public Safety Building today to handle really much a discussion we want to have with the community and notify them about what we're doing about this aggressive street racing and intersection takeovers that we've seen really over the last few months, and it's become more and more detrimental to this community. And I wanted to make sure we get a strong message out about what we are doing about this. We've recently were able to conduct an operation where individuals who were doing street takeovers, intersection takeovers, racing up in the Pompano area, pushing all throughout the county, we're able to effectively surveil them, locate them, and make an arrest. That occurred only a few days ago, but within that arrest, we start seeing that this thing was most certainly nothing that was a sport or fun. Throughout these individuals' activities of drag racing on public streets, they exposed children, parents, and other vehicles and pedestrians to pretty much potentially losing their life. These cars are driving in excess of 100 plus miles an hour. They're doing drifting, all type of different tactics and wheelies out there if they're on motor vehicle or motorcycle vehicles, and we will not tolerate it. This is not new to Broward County. If you can recall, pretty much timely in January, we typically deal with the wheels up, guns down movement. And I was told then that it was a positive event, but we've seen the negative in it. When we've had to engage individuals during that event, it's led to arrest. We've taken guns off the street, we've taken drugs off the street, and so we're going to continue to push this movement. This past October, we had success working with some of our legislators, working with Senator Lauren Book, working with Major Robert Chandler over at FHP to push both the House, Senate, and the governor to put forth stricter legislation giving us more enforcement powers. And that went into place, banning all these different activities that are taking place on these roadways. But yet, they have not yielded to the new legislation. And so we're going to turn it up. We're going to turn it up in enforcement tactics. We have a multitude of different operations that we will be putting forth throughout this county in partnership with all the different members that are part of the aggressive driving task force here in the county. It's a collectively 15 different law enforcement organizations that partner with us in this. And we're not going to have any moments of giving someone a break, a warning. Twofold is going to happen. We're going to take your vehicles and we're going to take you to jail. That's the end result. That's my mandate for every single one of these events that we encounter. There will be no ticket citations where you're walking away. We're going to put you in handcuffs and we're going to put you in jail. Also, it should be noted for those individuals who are supporting these events, whether it be on social media, whether it be organizing them, I highly recommend you read the new legislation that passed in October, because that too makes your behavior criminal and you too will be arrested for your involvement in these events. We are not going to sit by and allow someone to go out, drive hundreds of miles an hour in this community, drift in major intersections, and put people in harm's way because of their lack of maturity and understanding about how catastrophic these events will take or could be when they turn into car accidents and impact other vehicles. It's our men and women out here from the first responder community that will have to pull you out of a vehicle that's burning, that's going to have to put that vehicle out, and that's going to have to try to resuscitate you or the victim that you may cause by your inappropriate behavior and your illegal behavior. So we just want to get that message out. I'll turn it over, take a moment, maybe answer some questions from you all and give you some more details about what we're going to be doing. Part of the videos that we released were different surveillance that we were able to pick up either through individuals who are recording it or even some of our own personnel. And in that video footage, what you're seeing is drag racing on public streets. You're seeing drifting, where individuals are driving at excessive miles per hour or accelerating their vehicles to the top speeds and doing circles and donuts in the roadways. None of these things are legal, and they all will result in someone being hurt, harmed, killed. And it just makes no sense for us to wait idly by before that happens from a public safety standpoint. And so I'm encouraging all our different chiefs that don't operate under the Broward Sheriff's Office authority to continue partnering up with us so that we can start really hammering at these incidents. I'll go back to, this launched from a legislative standpoint back in October. And throughout some of the intelligence gatherings that we've been able to do, looking at social media sites, getting tips in, we've had to go out and write citations and hold people accountable, and even made some arrests, right? So this is something that it may be new to the public, but we've gave enough warnings and announcement when this first launched in October of last year. So it's inexcusable for anyone to continue to participate in these activities knowing that it's illegal, knowing that the risk factor that's involved could be tremendous. And it's interesting, I've talked to my social media team and about the type of messaging that we're getting from the individuals who are actually violating the law and doing this. And some of them think there's a negotiation to be made. They're saying that we need to build them a track or they're going to keep it up. Well, we're not here to negotiate. You're violating the law and I'm going to take you to jail. It's that simple. That type of reckless behavior, I've seen it time and time again in my career. I've had to arrive on car accident scenes where people are burning to death. I've had to try to extract people out of the cars who were turned upside down and couldn't get out. It's only real to them after the tragedy, and that's a problem. It is part of the problem in terms of, yeah, it is a traffic offense, but we have different charging elements that are typically going to roll with this. I talked about we pulled AK-47s out of the car with multiple magazines. There's drugs. There's a multitude of other criminal components that we're seeing that has a nexus to not just the sport that they think of driving recklessly through the community. Hey, it's only a citation. No. So when we do have an opportunity to uplift charges and charge people criminally, they're going to be charged. When we have an opportunity to take their vehicles, we're going to impound them and we're going to try to hold on to them as long as we can. Well, part of the legislation, it was in House Bill 399, I believe, that rolled over into Florida State Statute 316. And what's happening in there is it's not so much anyone standing around as a spectator, but the people who are active participants in either organizing the events, coordinating, saying, hey, we're going to meet today at this time and date in West Palm Beach, and we're going to work our path all the way down to Broward County. All those folks who are participating in the social media endorsement of those things now can be charged. And that's precisely what we're going to do. There's no room for anyone to encourage this behavior or support it in any forum, period. And now it's the law. Well, I think it speaks to the type of people that are out here violating the law. They're violating it from a traffic element, but they're already criminals in some cases, where they're carrying, what use do you have for an AK-47 in your car when you're driving 100 plus miles an hour recklessly on a community? The only thing that's going to happen is another level of conflict is going to occur, and that individual is going to use that weapon. And so before we allow for that to happen, we're going to take them off the street.
And what charges are these 2 and 3 individuals facing?
There was most of the recent ones, it was basic traffic violations for that statute that we were talking about, and then the weapons possession component for individuals, right, that had their involvement with the weapons. So again, traffic is where we're starting this, but where is it going to end? One of the concerns I have is, okay, now we know that assault rifles is part of the game. Is one of my deputies going to get shot and killed or shot at? Is one of these individuals going to have some conflict with another driver and open fire in the public and accidentally kill some kid who's crossing the street with his mother? We are not going to wait for any of that to happen. I don't have a ballpark figure that I can pull from, but what I can tell you is we've seen a pattern from things circulating down from West Palm Beach, pushing into Broward, pushing into Miami-Dade. And some of these individuals are trying to learn, and they have learned some of our tactics, and they will vacate the area before we get there, or they will shift and strategically, work X amount of times in Miami, then come up to Broward and then back to West Palm Beach. But we're on top of these things and we're paying attention to it. Our intelligence unit is doing a phenomenal job, and we're going to start picking these people off one by one. I haven't seen any specific connection in that this is a spring break isolated incident. If you remember, what I started out in terms of discussion point is the fact that every year, at the top of the year during January, we start with the wheels up, guns down. And then that trickles into throughout the year, we're facing these type of reckless drivers and incidents occurring. Now, I think it would be naive for us to think that when spring break occurs, we're not going to have any additional violators coming down here, because this is kind of the haven for all young kids to come to in South Florida. And so with that comes irresponsibility, but beyond just traffic. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the exact tactics that Fort Lauderdale took or their approach on that timeline, but what I will tell you is this. It's a varying tactic and approach, because we are also responsible for the public safety, not just the enforcement of the law, but also making sure the safeguard and preservation of life and property. So we can't respond as reckless as they do when they're taking off and vacating and driving 100 miles an hour through hitting the sidewalks when we show up. So what we'll do in some cases is use intelligence to be able to later apprehend and capture these individuals and do it safely without jeopardizing the public.